There is a rule in television. When you put the Dallas Cowboys on television, cha-ching, 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 it is a ratings goldmine. That will be tested based on this particular game. It was hyped up, NFC East, brouhaha, huge, massive ratings, the rainy night in Jersey, Dak Prescott, and the Cowboys paying a visit against Danny Dimes and the Giants, the first game the Giants played since paying Daniel Jones the contract, the $90+ million in guaranteed money. My God. Anyway, so how did that go? How did that go? They had to do it, right? They had to pay Daniel Jones. They had to pay. They didn't pay him. You guys would have been upset. You would have, you got to pay him. Oh, yeah. Well, if you didn't watch the game, and if you didn't watch the game, boy, you're lucky. You are very lucky because Micah Parsons, and not just Micah Parsons, he had a couple of plays, but it was the entire Dallas defense, all-encompassing, who swarmed the Giants. They manhandled the G-men from soup to nuts. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. 40-0 beatdown. Let me repeat that for those of you in the back of the room that have been drinking all day. 40-0. The New York Giants lost a game 40-0 they plausibly practiced for. They lost by 40 points. Now, we're going to get into this here. The Giants, the worst shutout loss on their own field in franchise history, second worst by margin in front of the home crowd. The Giants have been playing for almost 100 years. Almost 100 years, and this is a new level of stinkage. And for the Cowboys on the opposite side, the most dominating performance in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. Before they were America's team, back when they were just a team. The Dallas Cowboys, a complete and total annihilation situation. So let us discuss. The question here, was this game, a 40-0 win for Dallas, more about the Cowboys or more about the Giants? I've got sandbags, demerit, and palooza. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make an ice pack, which the Giants need because they have a migraine headache right now. And if they don't have a migraine headache, they should have a migraine headache. And so they need to have a migraine headache. So to answer the question, we're going to tie all these things together. Well, you know how that works. So to answer the question of was this game more about the Cowboys or more about the Giants, the better story is where? That is right. The better story is in the losing locker room. That there's going to be a conga line of people to kiss the tuchus of the Cowboys. Oh, you're so good. Oh, we love you, Dallas. Oh, my God, Dallas. Jerry Jones, I want to have your baby. All that crap. Like all that nonsense. But the story is with the Giants because they played like total a-holes. Okay. My God. Completely unprepared. You ever had that when you were in school? I had it a lot. That's why I got in radio. But when you're in school and you didn't really pay attention in class, and then you got a test coming up, and it's kind of a big deal, and then for some reason you didn't study for the test, but you got to take the test. And it normally does not go very well. The Giants were completely hornswoggled in this game. They looked like they had not even practiced, hadn't even opened the playbook. What should we do here? Well, we'll just improvise. We'll make it up as we go. Do some improv. That's what it looked like. Absolute lightweights. Absolute lightweights, the New York Giants. An annihilation situation. The Giants were totally unprepared for the first day of school. And then they tried to wing it. They thought they could get by with it. What exactly did they do during training camp? Isn't it like the whole cliche? We watch football a lot. I mean, the cliche has been that whoever you play first, you have all off season to prepare for that opponent. That's the game. That's the game. The first game. That you put everything in there. That you get all the time to prepare for that first opponent. So the Giants look like they had decided to add a new feature to their uniforms. They put about 40-pound sandbags on their backs, and they were running around with the 40-pound sandbags, emasculating. And that doesn't even begin to describe the effort by the New York football team, which plays in New Jersey, the NFC version. But that is a go-to detention. You failed. You have to study more. Bad job by you in all phases across the board. A placement test, and the Giants went out and flunked. They didn't get one right. They did not get one answer right on the test. All of them were wrong. They flunked. And how about Brian Dable? You got some explaining to do. Befuddled. The Giants were a smoke and mirrors team last year. Anybody who knows football knows the Giants were frauds last year. That in the scope of the fact that they won a bunch of close games, and the numbers indicated that they were not as good as their record indicated. And then in the postseason, when they played the Eagles in the playoffs, now the Vikings were also equally misguided, the Minnesota Vikings. And so you throw that game out. But when the Giants played the Eagles in the playoffs, how did that go? Now, turning the page here, while the Cowboys are going to be celebrated for their defense, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Cowboys were not good early in this game defensively. And obviously, the Giants didn't score, so you could say all the way through the game. But how terrible, how god-awful was Daniel Jones of the Giants? If only somebody had warned the Giants not to sign this guy to an extension. If only somebody had been the voice of reason out there to say, what are you doing? Why would you give this guy a contract? He hasn't earned it. You know, I know we live in the era where everyone gets paid. Whee! Everyone gets money. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Everyone's getting paid in the NFL. Even when you blow, you still get paid. But I'm sorry, I was raised where you have certain standards. And this guy's an absolute bum. Daniel Jones. But he got the contract. Totally flummoxed out there. Recorded the lowest passer rating since he was drafted. And that's saying something, because there's been some El Stinkos on that resume for Daniel Jones. Unable to walk and chew gum at the same time in this game. Now, I understand the quarterback apologist. It's never the quarterback's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Yeah, I know those idiots. They're losers is what they are. And they're scum. And on this side of the microphone, the quarterback apologist can chew on a dirty sock. Okay, it's all the offensive line's fault. No, it wasn't. The offensive line wasn't great. I get that. But are you telling me that Daniel Jones, the only way this guy can be an effective, efficient NFL quarterback is if the offensive line's great, the play calling's great, nobody drops a pass, the playmakers are all wonderful. Okay, anybody can do that. Do you understand? Anyone can do that. You're supposed to perform when everything's not going well. That's the point of demarcation. This guy doesn't have it. He does not have it. We knew he didn't have it. I got no skin in the game. I'm not a Giants fan. It just annoys me that this guy was bad at his job. He sucked in college at Duke. He sucked in the NFL, and he's laughing all the way to the bank. I mean, that is an absolute demerit for the Giants. I don't want to hear how smart Brian Dable is and what a genius Joe Shane is. I don't want to hear about it. You gave this guy a new contract. Daniel Jones is puke. Okay? 4 years, $160 million. Now, I know that's not as much as some of the other contracts. They gave him $92 million guaranteed. The guy should be selling insurance, and they gave him $92 million guaranteed. For what exactly? What is the justification? And this is our first opportunity he has to go out there, and this guy looked like he was harebrained. He looked harebrained. You know, in the Maller Mansion, there's a lot of rabbits around the Maller Mansion. And I never understood what harebrained meant. I thought, well, this is kind of stupid. It's ripping rabbits. But I'll be driving down the road, and I'll see a rabbit. And the rabbit, instead of getting out of the way of the Mallermobile, will stand up and look and freeze at the car. That's Daniel Jones. He stands up, he's got his rabbit ears up, and he freezes. $92 million. That's football malpractice by the New York Giants. Rip them. They need to be ripped. And it's not going to get much better. Like, you think all of a sudden after this, Daniel Jones, he's going to dominate the NFL the rest of the way. My fat ass, he's going to dominate the NFL the rest of the way. Now, the last word here. After the events were over, Daniel Jones said that the 40-0 loss to the Cowboys was, quote, not who we're capable of being. What does that even mean? You practiced all offseason. You all got paid. Everyone got paid. You went to training camp. You prepared for the Dallas Cowboys. That is exactly who you are. So how do you grade that answer? F minus. F minus. Just like the performance of the Vanilla Vic. Now, make no mistake. I mean, there's nothing to confuse here. You are what your record says you are, and fraudulent. The Giants are not a contender. They shouldn't have been a contender last year. And then you have Brian Daboll, the head coach of the Giants. We have some post-game audio here of Brian Daboll, who commented that when you lose a game 40-0 and you would like to assign culpability, there's a lot there. Take a listen.
Like I said, offense, defense, coaching, special teams, whatever you name it. When you get 40-0, there's a lot of blame to go around, and I'll take the head of it.
Yeah. Well, you'd probably eat the whole thing. All right, here's more. Here's how about Daniel Jones? I just gave you part of one of these quotes, but here's Daniel Jones, who was celebrating a big party. It was the Putrid Palooza for the Giants, and he was the star of the show. Here's Danny Dimes, who points out, rather obviously, there have been better days.
This wasn't our best game. There's no doubt about it.
Really?
This wasn't who we're capable of being, and we've got to show that. We've got to put that on the field and play that way. So we didn't do that tonight, and we have a lot to work on going forward.
Is he stupid? Play that again. They just lost the game 40-0.
This wasn't our best game. There's no doubt about it.
Wasn't our best game.
Who we're capable of being, and we've got to show that. We've got to put that on the field and play that way. So we didn't do that tonight, and we have a lot to work on going forward.
Now, you could argue there's no great answer when you come out of a loss like this, but what I would like to hear is I want accountability. I don't know, it's not our best game and all this. No, you got to rip people. Rip them. All right? Nothing. Monotone. That's how he is, monotone. Now, here's one more from Danny Dimes, who says the F word is part of the equation here.
We're certainly frustrated and extremely disappointed with how we performed tonight, and I know I certainly am with myself. So a lot to work on and clean up. We're going to be critical of ourselves and look to correct it and get back on the right page.
It's like he was trying to memorize the script, get the talking points in there.